Hello. So this is a terrarium I made for my friend. They haven't seen it yet, but they're coming to pick it up today. Now, this friend of mine is a huge fan of Good Omens. So when I thought about making them a terrarium, I thought about how I would like to represent the phantom. I really enjoy making fanish items because it's really fun to pull together connections and ideas and to think about ways that you can bring iconic moments into your art. So this piece reflects that the demon Crowley has a collection of houseplants, and this collection of houseplants is important to him, but the way that he tries to care for them and manage them is by yelling at them and threatening them, which is I think you've heard me talk to my maidenhair fern before about what I'm going to do to it if it doesn't grow, so that's very relatable. But there's also the spray bottle for watering the plants is not just about the plants, but also represents some pretty major plot points and emotional points for Crowley and Crowley's relationship with Aziraphale, his angel. Making this was not the easiest terrarium I've done. I haven't done very many yet, but I thought, well, I've watched a video on how to make a bottle terrarium. How difficult can this be? And the answer was, oh, quite difficult. Because of course everything had to go through the very narrow opening at the top of the bottle, and underneath here there's gravel and charcoal, and then there's substrate. And by the time I got everything in, I then had to spend about half a day just polishing down the inside of the jar with Q-tips held by long tweezers and forceps to try and get all of the dirt off the side of the jar so you could actually see what was happening inside of it. So inside what is happening is we have the ficus pumila. I'm not sure how it's doing yet, if it's rooted yet, but it looks like it's hanging in there, so fingers crossed that will root. A little bit of moss from my garden. I happen to know that the person that is getting this is a fan of moss, although who doesn't love moss? And then the other plant in here, there are two tiny little Syngonium mini pixie. And then to just add some color, there's a bunch of tiny pebbles. I bought a collection of shiny pebbles, and these ones that I picked for this were mostly the red ones. They're sort of rolling around loose in there, which is fine. And a couple of little bits of driftwood to build it up and to make the scene. So what I'm hoping for as it grows out is that the ficus pumila will kind of creep around everywhere and get kind of aggressive, and in the meantime the Syngonium mini pixie will probably stay pretty compact, although I am anticipating having to either help my friend learn how to do it or have them bring it back over for me to do some pruning in here at some point in the life cycle of this terrarium. It is built to be able to function as a closed terrarium, but when I built it I did add way too much water in the first place, so it's been put together for a few weeks now and I'm still having to take the lid off to try and let it evaporate some water out every couple of days. Because the one thing that I did have trouble with on a previous terrarium build was that I lost my moss to too much moisture. So I'm going to be handing it over with instructions to maybe let it breathe every now and then for now. After a little while I think it should be fine and self-sustaining. But the nice thing is that it doesn't have to be a closed terrarium. It doesn't have to live with no additional airflow. It can have airflow every now and then. And when you take the lid off and sniff at it, it's like a free breath of walking into a forest. So I think that they're going to be very happy with that, because I think that's a very enjoyable sensation, just to take the lid off and take a deep whiff, and you get those earthy green rainy scents. Kind of incredible. So I'll let you know what they think of it, but I'm pretty sure they're going to be excited.